Level 1. Ingredient Handler. You don't enter the frozen pizza factory through the place customers imagine. You enter through the receiving area, where the air is cold, the floor is marked with forklift lanes, and the first smell is not melted cheese or fresh pizza crust, but flour dust, cardboard, plastic wrap, tomato sauce, and frozen ingredients stacked on pallets. Before a pizza becomes an easy dinner pulled from a freezer, it arrives here in pieces. Bags of flour, drums of sauce, blocks of cheese, boxes of pepperoni, frozen vegetables, cartons, trays, film wrap, and printed boxes that make the product look simple later. Your first job is to move, scan, check, separate, and stage. It feels basic until you realize how many ways the whole factory can be damaged before the line even starts. One wrong pallet of cheese can delay production. One damaged box of packaging can stop the product from leaving. One mislabeled ingredient can force supervisors to trace the entire lot before anything touches the dough line. A forklift beeps behind you. Plastic wrap snaps under your gloves. Cold air rolls from a nearby storage door as workers move faster than you do, already fluent in a system you are still trying to read. Outside, someone will open a freezer, grab a box, and think dinner is easy. They will not picture this loading bay, your sore shoulders, the codes on the pallets, or the quiet fear of sending the wrong material forward. Here, convenience begins as weight, temperature, paperwork, and precision. You are not making pizza yet. You are guarding the first gate of the meal, and as another pallet of flour rolls toward the production floor, you ask yourself, how many people stand behind one frozen pizza? Level 2. Dough line worker. Now you move from the receiving area to the dough line, and the factory changes from storage into motion. Bags of flour are opened, ingredients are measured, and the mixers turn everything into heavy, pale dough that folds over itself under the force of steel arms. The air is warmer here, filled with flour dust and the low vibration of machines that never seem to pause for long. Your role is to help the dough become something consistent. Not too wet, not too dry, not too thick, not too thin. At level 1, a mistake could still be caught on a pallet. Here, a mistake becomes part of the product. Dough moves from mixer to divider, from divider to rollers, from rollers to round crust shapes that slide down the belt like unfinished promises. You watch for torn edges, uneven thickness, misshapen rounds, and pieces that stick where they should release cleanly. It looks simple from far away, but after 1 hour you understand that the crust is the foundation of everything. If it is too thin, the sauce can overwhelm it. If it is too thick, the pizza feels cheap and heavy. If the shape is wrong, packaging becomes harder later. A supervisor points toward a section where several crusts are coming out uneven, and suddenly your eyes lock onto every circle passing in front of you. The line does not care that you are new. It keeps feeding the next crust, then the next, then the next. Outside, someone will judge the pizza by cheese, toppings, and taste. Inside, you learn the first truth. Before a frozen pizza can be convenient, it has to survive the discipline of dough. And once you understand the crust, the next level brings you to the red layer that can make the whole pizza feel dry, rich, cheap, or complete. Level 3, sauce operator. At level 3, you stand beside the sauce station where the pizza finally begins to look less like dough and more like dinner. Large stainless tanks hold tomato sauce that smells sharp, sweet, and slightly acidic, mixed with herbs and seasoning that cling to the air. The dough rounds move towards you on the conveyor, pale and unfinished, and the sauce system lowers over them with mechanical precision. Your role is to watch the flow, the spread, the timing, and the coverage. At level 2, you learn that the crust carries everything. Here you learn that sauce decides the first feeling of flavor. Too little, and the pizza will taste dry and empty. Too much, and the crust can turn soggy. The toppings can slide, and packaging later becomes messy. A perfect-looking layer has to be controlled again and again, pizza after pizza, without letting the line slow down. You watch bright red circles appear on pale dough one after another, like the factory is painting dinner at industrial speed. Then one crust passes with sauce slightly off-center. Another has a thin edge, another gets too heavy near the middle. Small mistakes, but visible ones. A customer may not know the word for it, but they will notice when the bite feels wrong. You adjust your attention, follow the stream, and listen to the pumps behind the metal housing. The sound becomes part of your thinking. Smooth flow means calm. A strange pulse means trouble. When a supervisor pulls one pizza aside for review, you understand that sauce is not decoration. It is balance. It is cost. It is taste. It is the red layer between a product that feels cheap and one that feels complete. And once the sauce is right, the factory moves you toward the part everyone recognizes first. Cheese, pepperoni, and toppings falling onto the line. Level 4. Topping technician. At level 4, the pizza becomes recognizable. You stand beside the topping section where shredded cheese drops from hoppers like pale snow, and pepperoni slices land in fast, repeating patterns over the red sauce below. Frozen vegetables, meat pieces, seasoning, and extra cheese move through separate feeders, each one controlled so the final pizza looks full without wasting expensive ingredients. The room is cooler here, and the smell changes with every station. Tomato, cheese, oil, spices, cold vegetables, and the faint plastic scent of food-safe trays moving nearby. Your role is to watch distribution. At level 3, the sauce had to be even. Here, everything has to look generous, balanced, and repeatable. Too little cheese and the pizza looks cheap. Too much and cost rises across thousands of units. Pepperoni too far to one side and the customer sees it immediately. A missing topping can make the whole product feel careless, even if the crust and sauce are perfect. You begin to understand that frozen pizza is judged with the eyes before it ever reaches the oven. The customer sees the picture on the box, opens the package, and expects the real pizza to match the promise. When a feeder starts dropping cheese unevenly, the line does not stop right away. The pizzas keep coming, each one carrying the same mistake forward. You call it out, and a technician steps in while questionable pizzas are pulled aside. For the first time, you feel how visible your level is. Nobody at home sees the ingredient codes or the sauce flow, but they will see an empty patch on their pizza. And once the toppings look right, the factory sends the product into the coldest part of the journey, where the pizza must be frozen before time and temperature can ruin what you just built. Level 5, freezing line. Worker at level 5, the factory turns cold enough to change how your body moves. The finished pizzas leave the topping section and enter the freezing line, still looking soft, fresh and fragile under the white lights. Ahead of them is the tunnel that makes this product possible. Heavy doors, insulated panels, strong fans, steel belts, frost on the edges, and a constant rush of cold air that hits your face every time you step too close. Your role is to watch the flow into the freezer, check spacing, monitor temperature displays, and make sure the pizzas move through without sticking, stacking, or backing up. At level 4, the product became recognizable. Here it becomes frozen. That sounds simple from outside, but inside the line, freezing is a race against time. If the pizza enters unevenly, it can freeze in the wrong shape. If it moves too slowly, the schedule suffers. If it moves too fast, quality can suffer. If a belt issue creates a pile-up near the tunnel entrance, the product can be damaged before anyone reaches it. You learn that cold is not just a storage condition. It is part of the manufacturing process. The crust, sauce, cheese, and toppings all have to survive it together. A pizza that looks perfect before the tunnel can come out with shifted toppings, frost problems, broken edges, or texture issues if the process is not controlled. Your gloves feel stiff. Your breath feels sharper. The fans are so loud that workers use short gestures more than long words. When one pizza catches slightly near the tunnel entrance, your whole body reacts before you think. You clear the flow, check the spacing, and watch the line stabilize again. Outside, frozen pizza feels like convenience. Here, convenience depends on cold discipline, and once the pizza survives the freezing tunnel, the next level asks whether it truly deserves to leave the factory. Level 6, Quality Inspector. At level 6, you step away from the freezing tunnel and into the inspection area, where the factory asks one uncomfortable question. Does this pizza actually match the promise on the box? The room is brighter, cleaner, and slower than the line, but the pressure has not disappeared. It has become more precise. Frozen pizzas are pulled from production and placed under white lights. You check shape, crust edges, sauce coverage, topping distribution, cheese spread, visible damage, weight, packaging readiness, temperature condition, and lot information. At level 5, the product survived cold. Here it has to survive judgment. A pizza can look good at first glance and still fail when you look closer. The crust may be cracked, cheese may be too light on one side, pepperoni may be clustered in the center, sauce may show through unevenly. A corner may have broken after freezing. A customer at home may not understand the factory reason, but they will understand disappointment the moment they open the box. Your role is not to keep the line happy. Your role is to protect the customer from receiving a product that should have been stopped earlier. That makes people nervous around you. Production wants flow. Packaging wants product. Shipping wants finished cases. But your notes can create a hold, a delay, or a recheck no one planned for. You pick up one frozen pizza and feel the cold through your gloves, studying it like evidence. It is not just food anymore. It is proof of every level before you. The ingredients, the dough, the sauce, the toppings, the freezer. When you approve it, the system moves forward. When you reject it, the system has to answer why. And once you learn to question the pizza itself, the next level brings you to the final face the customer will see. The box, the seal, and the promise of an easy dinner. Level 7. Packaging technician. At level 7, the pizza becomes a product the world can recognize. You move from inspection to the packaging line, where frozen pizzas slide forward in steady rows, stiff with cold, and ready to disappear beneath film, cardboard, labels, lock codes, and cartons. The air still carries a freezer chill, but now it mixes with the smell of ink, plastic wrap, cardboard dust, and warm machine parts. Your role is to watch the final physical promise. The seal, the box, the code, the alignment, the carton, and the pallet. At level 6, you judged whether the pizza was good enough. Here you learn that even a good pizza can fail if the package fails around it. A weak seal can expose the product to frost damage. A torn film can make the pizza look unsafe. A wrong box can confuse the customer and the retailer. A faded lock code can turn a small issue into a traceability problem. You stand close to the machine as frozen pizzas enter the wrapping station and come out looking clean, flat, and ready for supermarket freezers. It feels satisfying for a moment until the line stutters. One pizza shifts before sealing. A box catches at an angle. A printer mark looks too light. The machine does not ask whether you are tired, it keeps pushing the next unit forward until someone reacts. You pull questionable packages aside while another worker clears the jam, and suddenly you see how fragile the final step is. The customer will never know if the dough was shaped perfectly or the sauce was balanced. They will see the box first. They will decide whether this frozen dinner looks trustworthy before they ever taste it. By the end of the shift, you understand that packaging is not decoration. It is the last wall between factory pressure and the family freezer. And once the pizzas are boxed and stacked, the next level asks whether you can manage the entire shift that made them possible. Level 8. Production supervisor. At level 8, the frozen pizza factory no longer reaches you as one station. It reaches you as an entire shift trying not to fall out of rhythm. You walk the floor with a radio on your belt, a schedule in your hand, and cold air following you from one section to another. The ingredient area is waiting on a pallet. The dough line is reporting uneven thickness. The sauce station needs a quick adjustment. The topping feeder is running low on cheese. The freezing tunnel cannot slow down without affecting everything behind it. Quality is holding samples for review, and packaging wants to know how long before the next batch arrives. At level 7, you protected the final box. Here you protect the whole chain of decisions that puts pizza into that box. Your role is to keep people, machines, ingredients, temperature, quality, and deadlines moving together. That sounds like control, but it feels more like being pulled from every direction at once. If you push the dough line faster, shape may suffer. If you delay topping, the freezer schedule backs up. If you ignore a tired worker, mistakes become more likely. If you pause too long for quality, the shipment target starts slipping. You are no longer judged only by what your hands can fix. You are judged by how much pressure you can absorb without letting it spill onto the product or the people. When a minor issue appears near the freezer entrance, you choose to slow the line long enough to protect the batch. Some workers look relieved, others look at the clock. Nobody celebrates a decision that costs time, even when it prevents a bigger failure. By the end of the shift, you realize supervision is not about standing above the factory. It is about standing in the narrow space between speed and damage. And once you learn to carry one shift, the next level pulls you beyond the factory floor, into the cold chain that decides whether all this work survives the road. Level 9. Cold Chain Manager. At level 9, the pizza is no longer moving through the factory line. It is moving through temperature, distance, and time. You stand inside a cold warehouse where finished cases are stacked on pallets, each one holding meals that only remain valuable if the cold chain stays unbroken. The air bites through your jacket. Forklifts move slowly between freezer racks. Doors open and close with clouds of white vapor. Screens show storage zones, trailer temperatures, route schedules, inventory levels, and delivery windows. At level 8, you carried the shift that made the pizza. Here you carry the journey that keeps it alive after production. Your role is to protect frozen product from the moment it leaves packaging until it reaches supermarket freezers. A late truck is not just late. It can compress delivery windows, strain warehouse space, and put product quality at risk. A door left open too long can become a problem. A wrong pallet loaded onto the wrong route can send the right pizza to the wrong region. A temperature alarm can turn a normal day into an investigation. You learn that frozen food does not forgive carelessness. It may still look fine from the outside, but if the cold chain fails, the trust behind the product begins to break. You look at a pallet of pizza boxes waiting near the dock and remember every level behind it. Flour, dough, sauce, toppings, freezing, inspection, packaging, supervision. All that work now depends on warehouse discipline, trailer cooling, driver timing, and retail storage. Outside, a customer only sees a box in a freezer. Inside this level, you see the invisible road that kept it frozen. And as another refrigerated truck backs into the dock, releasing a wall of cold air, you understand the final level will decide what kind of promise this frozen dinner is supposed to become. Level 10. Frozen Pizza. Brand Owner. At level 10, the factory noise is gone, but the pressure has not disappeared. It has simply moved into a cleaner room. You sit at a polished table with frozen pizza samples in front of you, retail reports on a screen, ingredient cost updates in a folder, customer reviews on a tablet, and packaging mock-ups arranged like the product is easy to control. At level 9, you learn that a frozen pizza has to survive the cold chain. Here you decide what that pizza is supposed to mean before it ever reaches the freezer aisle. Your role is to shape the brand, the recipe, the size, the toppings, the price, the box design, the retailer pitch, the margin, the promotion, and the promise printed on the front. Around you, people speak in business language. Value meal, premium crust, family size, better cheese pull, lower cost, stronger shelf presence. But behind every phrase, you now see the ladder you climbed. You remember the ingredient handler moving flour, sauce, cheese, and packaging before the line could begin. You remember the dough worker watching imperfect crusts slide past under flour dust. You remember the sauce operator trying to keep every red layer balanced. You remember the topping technician pulling pizzas aside when cheese or pepperoni fell unevenly. You remember the freezing line worker standing in cold air to protect texture and safety. You remember the quality inspector asking whether the pizza matched the promise. You remember the packaging technician fighting jams, seals, boxes, and lot codes. You remember the production supervisor carrying a shift between speed and damage. You remember the cold chain manager protecting every case from temperature, distance, and time. Now every one of those levels reaches your desk. If you reduce cheese to protect margin, customers may feel the difference. If you raise the price, families may leave it in the freezer aisle. If you chase a trend too quickly, production may struggle to repeat it. If you make the box look better than the pizza inside, trust becomes the cost you pay later. The frozen pizza in front of you looks simple. Crust, sauce, cheese, toppings, cardboard, plastic, and a promise of dinner without effort. But you know it is not simple anymore. It is labor, machinery, cold storage, timing, quality control, retail pressure, and human judgment compressed into one box. You began at the bottom where convenience was just heavy pallets and cold air. You end at the top where convenience becomes a strategy, a price point, and a responsibility. The product is never just pizza. It is the hidden work of many people turned into something a customer can pull from a freezer after a long day. So when the next meeting asks whether this pizza should be cheaper, bigger, faster to produce, or easier to sell, the real question is not only what the market wants. The real question is who carries the pressure that makes convenience look effortless. If you want to see another hidden system from the bottom to the top, comment which factory or global brand we should enter next.